May 3rd. Where you are, grab a coffee and let's get smarter together. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now the earth was unformed and void, and darkness was up in the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. Yes, these are the first words of the Torah that become the first words of the extended version, called Bible. But no, this will not be a sermon. I cited them because the final Torah is widely seen as a product of the Persian period, 539 to 333 BC, probably more like 450 to 350 BC, but that puts it squarely into the actual age, a time of tiny kingdoms and city-states headed by uber-explorers at constant war with each other, the time of birth of all the world's major philosophical tendencies and all of today's major world religions, and the introduction of coinage. Yes, these three things have something in common. More importantly, the Torah is a compilation of what was at that time already an ancient oral tradition, compiled with chaos. The establishment of a major philosophical tendency came about when thinkers sought solutions to the general violence and the widespread problem of mass uber-exploitation in the shape of slavery. It's a misery. They tried to solve that. Uber-explorers then picked ideas and tried to implement them as state religions. The Torah was compiled to teach a very certain idea that promised less wars because it freed uber-explorers from the need to fight for their right to define themselves as uber-explorers. In the new way of understanding reality and the self, the role of uber-explorers is now created by God, as is the role of uber-exploiters. And it is taught using the same educational stories that existed before, just that they had gone through a thorough reinterpretation. What does this mean for the creation story, for example? Before this period, we seem to have had a two-layered understanding of reality and the self. The same two-layered understanding we can now prove with our scientific means. On the first layer, something existed outside and independent of humans. It is huge, complex, and exceeds human comprehension. For our ancestors, this was probably the realm of the gods and goddesses in which they existed but never experienced it in totality because, and that's layer 2, only a small subset of the data making up the whole was made available to a human being. And even that was too much to process all at once. Hence, the necessity to explore every aspect of it piecemeal over time, not least because, as they discovered by doing, it helped them to solve problems and pursue ever bigger goals. So clearly it would give them the answers to the question why they were there if they only explored enough. This leads to multifaceted creatures who could change to become what was needed to fill a specific role for the duration of a specific activity. No one was born to be one thing or be restricted to do only one of the two, explore or exploit. And that reflects in the creation story in its original interpretation. In the beginning, the gods and goddesses created the big thing. The first experience of a fetus becoming an infant of it during birth are of darkness and voidness and chaos. It's absolute chaos. Way too many data is streaming into the brain of his child until there's suddenly something, light. And that's the first thing the child learns to distinguish in the process of generating its first model of a world, and at the end, itself, Ben Adam, a human being. It's perfect to give people the above outlined understanding of reality and the self, to teach them that there's some things they will never understand and they can explore what is given to them anyway to get at least a tiny understanding. Now, remember, the main message people had to take away from the teachings of the Torah was that humans were born to be one thing and one thing only, restricted to a single role to be performed throughout life. For that, they had to collapse the two-layered understanding of reality and the self to one. In this one layer, a single God, because when there are standards, there can always ever only be one standard model of everything. Anything that deviates from the standard model is less perfect and therefore can't be a God, creates the world including the humans in it. What you see is what you get, a reflection of God's plan. That's it. In this plan, any human being is born to play one role. Either you play it or you're punished, meaning either you're good or bad. And the words good or bad are defined by God in the book that he gives to the actors who play in this play. There was one more necessary change to ensure these teachings would be followed, because any law is only as good as its enforcement. Whereas before, a human had to actively draw the attention of the creators of a big thing onto themselves to be noticed at all, the God in the Torah is described as omniscient and omnipresent, an entity whose attention you can't shake and who will catch you when you deviate from his plan and explore when your task is to exploit only. It wasn't the solution to the problem it set out to solve, as we can tell simply by turning on the news and reading the latest mental health reports. Because it only tried to codify an unnatural state of the explore-exploit balance. To come up with better solutions, explore. Asynchronous thinking. Make a habit out of thinking. Let's turn thinking into a movement again. Like, comment, share, and follow, lest you miss a single opportunity to improve yourself and society. And just like that, coffee break is over. See you next time at the coffee pot.